Hi, it's Megan. So I got 2 items from the Sephora Pantone Color of the Year Marsala collection. I got the lipstick, which I'm wearing, which looks like this. And I got the eyeshadow palette, which has fingerprints all over it. As soon as I like even breathe on it, I feel like there's fingerprints all over it, but whatever. So this is, let's see, $39. It is 0.41 ounce. Last year's was 48. It was 1.53 ounces. So this is a lot smaller. It's $10 cheaper. It has a mirror right here, but these are the shades. So they're not so big. These are now 0.017 ounce each versus 0.059 ounces. So they're about a third the size, a little bit smaller than that. And this one also doesn't have a blush. Same number of eyeshadows, but no blush. So some people will like that, some people won't. They say on the website it's a travel-sized palette. It's definitely thin. I don't know. I kind of liked those iPad-sized palettes. I thought they were kind of cool. But you know, things change. So I looked up the definition of Marsala in a lot of places because there seems to be some debate about how brown it should be, and I felt like the eyeshadow was a lot less brown than the lip color. So the Marsala eyeshadow, which I just wiped this off my wrist, having just shot the video for the lips, and I shouldn't have done that. This is the lip color, this is the eyeshadow. I think this is a lot more red, this is a lot more brown. Some people will prefer the brown, some people will prefer the red. Personally, I prefer the more reddish color, but that's just me. What I thought overall, so it's hard doing videos with 24 colors just because there's a lot to say. So what I'm going to do is, by now I would have already overlaid my outdoor swatches because nobody needs to see me talk for 5 minutes, of the shades, and I'm going to tell you my overview thoughts of the palette, and then I'm actually going to go shade by shade by shade. So anyone who doesn't want to see the shade by shade by shade can just hear the overview. So according to Sephora, this is an eyeshadow palette with matte, shimmer, pearl, and glitter finishes that complement the Sephora Pantone Color of the Year. So they say 24 shades. There are Marsala shades called Marsala in 4 different finishes: matte, glitter, pearl, and shimmer. So they then put in a whole bunch of other shades that are meant to complement these. And so overall I found the palette leaned very warm, but there are also a lot of shades that had some cool undertones, and you could do a totally cool look with this palette. And looking at other swatches and whatnot online, I thought overall this was a good quality palette. I think Sephora's been upping their game with this, with their eyeshadow collections, and even everything that they've been doing. And I think this one kind of reflects the better quality that Sephora has been increasingly putting into their palettes. Some in the past have been kind of chalky or light, or they didn't wear very well. They're really pretty colors, but they wore off really quickly. I've actually used this one without an eyeshadow primer, and you can see how vivid the colors are. And this is super blended because I wanted to get a more natural blended look with 2 Marsala shades at the same time, just so people could see this, what it looks like, the Marsala. I thought these were really good quality. What I wasn't as thrilled about was that I thought it leaned really brown, which is fine, and it leaned really neutral overall. So overall, I really do actually like this palette a lot compared to the Lime Crime one, which I've also seen people online comparing it to. This one is more brown based, it's less red, it's less peach. In fact, there's almost no peach in here. There are some shades that have a slight undertone of peach, but I was surprised at the lack of peach, whereas I was also surprised with kind of the super cool tones that they added in. One shade I want to say from the very beginning, it is the Castor Gray. It is an exact dupe for the Ardency and Peacock. I had just got Peacock, I just gotten it, and I had just been playing around with it. I'm like, this is exactly the same. I put them on my wrist, I put them on one eye each. They're exactly the same. They wear the same, they look the same, they are the same. So overall, I do like this. It is a warm palette that has some cool tones to it. I found the quality was not 100% across the board, which actually isn't uncommon with a palette of 24 shades, but overall really good, and I like the different textures. I didn't need to use primer with this palette, which I usually do with Sephora palettes. What I didn't like was that it's $10 cheaper and like a third the size, or less than a third the size. So that I thought was, okay, so the shade by shade breakdown. This is gonna be long. The first one is Autumn Blonde. So this is kind of a barely there, cool sparkly vanilla shade. I'm not even gonna try this one on my wrist because it's just not gonna show up. It's too close to my natural skin color. And this I put up here, and it doesn't really swatch that well, but it does its job really well, which is to be a very shimmery kind of highlight base shade. I like it. Some people will hate this shade, and it's a cool sparkly vanilla. Toasted Nut. This is a light copper gold. So these are these two right there. And this one is a warmer toned, super light copper with kind of a gold undertone to it. And it's definitely got a super, super metallic sheen. Okay, the Marsala is Marsala Matte. So I have Marsala Matte, and then I have, I think it's the Marsala, what is it called? The most shimmery one, the glitter. Glitter here, and I've got the matte on the outer part. So this is it. It's a dark, you can see how pigmented that is. Like, that's just one little swipe. I don't believe in making perfect swatches because that's not fair. I'm not getting paid to do that. I'm not getting paid at all. It's a reddish, brownish orange kind of a color. And I'm actually going to leave this one on my wrist. I'm going to end up with all four of the Marsalas at the top. And then the next one is the Marsala Satin. This is a very similar shade, not naturally, but it has a very different finish. And then, so the way I ended up describing it was a red with a brown, slightly orange undertone. After that comes Shifting Sand, which is a very shimmery, cool gold. And I did get a little tiny bit of fallout, but you can see it's got that really beautiful metallic sheen. It's a really, really, really pretty color. I really like this kind of a shade. It's kind of a silvery gold. It reminds me actually of the Chanel highlighter that I just got. It's a little bit darker, a little bit more gold, but it's a really weird balance between the gold and the silver and making it work for everyone. And this shadow I really like. I think it does it. The next one is Cocoa Brown, a neutral, cool toned brown. You can see it doesn't swatch quite as well, a little bit spotty. And I can't tell if this is a matte or a satin. It's really kind of in between in my mind. More kind of a, there were a bunch of them I kind of felt like were satin mattes, if that makes sense. This one I feel like is a satin matte. The next one is Burro. Let me double check the name. Burro. Oh dear. I see how they did it. Okay, Burro. And this one did not swatch that well. It swatched better before. This one's swatched a little weird right now. It's a dark, cool taupe. Kind of a mid-toned, darker brownish taupe. And that one swatched really weird right now. I swatched it earlier and swatched better. It didn't swatch a little right now. That's weird. Okay. Then Deep Taupe. This is a cool, dark gray taupe. And it's a matte. This one is swatching. So let me show you that next to the other shade right before. So you can see the difference. This one's a little bit warmer. They're both a little bit cooler. This one almost has like a slight purplish undertone to it. I see purple in a lot of things though, but I do see a slight purple in that one. Then we get more of the Marsalas. So the next one we get is Marsala Metallic. So this is, I'm going to put this next to the satin, even though it's barely going to fit. You can see it's got a much stronger sheen to it, and it also seems a little bit more orange undertoned. Very close in tone, but just slightly more orange. Then the Marsala Glitter, which I have on the inner part of my eye, which I put next to the matte. This one looks a lot lighter, and it is lighter. It also looks a little bit more pink to me. But it's still got that rich reddish brown with a slight little bit of orange to it. And it does have a little bit of chunky glitter look to it, but you can see it on my eyes. It's not like a glitter bomb kind of a shade. Okay, the next row, so I'm going to leave those up there, is Kelp, a cool metallic gold green. It's kind of got like an olive undertone to it. Faintly, very barely. barely, barely. I try to like stare at these and figure out. It's a warm, almost a peachy kind of a thing though. So the next one is Dusty Olive. Am I getting these right? No, I'm not getting these right. Nor what I just said about that last one. I got it totally wrong. You saw the wrong swatch. So Kelp, I went to the wrong line. This is a cool metallic gold green olive. I was thinking that doesn't look gold green. This right here, very cool toned shade. It's the cool green olive. So olive-ish with kind of a gold green thing going on in there. And then the darker version of it, and that's a metallic one, is another metallic. It's a darker, more green kind of version of the same thing. Less gold, more green. Okay, the next row. This is where I swatched before. I apologize. So this is Desert Mist. I keep looking, the names are on the back. But what I had kind of glanced at and hadn't really kind of understood, because I'd been doing this differently, is that they are as you see them, as opposed to, so they are done like this, as opposed to matching where they are on the back of the thing. So they're done just to duplicate, not actually match as a mirror image. Okay, so this is a really warm, peachy kind of a gold shade. This is called Desert Mist. It's a chunky orange gold too. The next one is a gold orange, no, actually I reversed what I wrote down. It's an orange gold. And this one almost has a little bit of a brown to it. It's very metallic. You can see a real sheen in that. So this one's a little bit more chunky glittery. This one's a little bit more sheen from the metallic. Then we get to, that was Butter Rum. We get to Macaroon, which is a matte buttercream. It's like a peachy ivory, which is a lot lighter on than it looks. Oh, this isn't even going to show up on my wrist. Okay, we're just going to have to do it on my finger. It doesn't show up on my wrist. You can see it really barely, it's like a swipe of nothing. Then we have Chutney. To me, this is a paprika color. To me, paprika is a better color name than chutney, but it's like a brown orange matte. But you can see it's more brown, more orange than the Marsalas. And then we have a color that I love, some people hate these types of colors. It's Moonlight. It is a glittery, chunky, pearly shade. Like this. Super cool. You can see almost that blue undertone to it. I love stuff like this. I think it looks beautiful with a lot of eye colors. Some people just think it's too glistening, not enough there, not enough going on. Okay, one color I've seen kind of controversy over, Midnight Blue. This is a glittery one. I get a good swatch out of it. Not a great swatch, but it's like a medium navy. You can definitely see chunks of glitter in it, and I think it's a pretty shade. I don't have any problems with it. I actually enjoyed playing with it. Whenever I see, because I try to look online before I do one of these videos, see what other people are saying, to see if, and sometimes I totally disagree. Like I seem to see purple in things no one else does. It doesn't matter. I still read it just to see, are they right, are they wrong? And on this one, I didn't have any problems with the shade, but that doesn't mean that other people won't. Okay. Then we go to Carob Brown. This is a super reddish brown. That didn't swatch very well. Matte. Sometimes it's just because I've been wiping my wrist with a wipe. I like this shade. I actually used, no, I didn't use this one. This one's a little bit warmer than some of the other browns. I used the next one. The next one is Bracken. And this one is like a cool, dark, there's like that grayish, charcoaly brown color, which I really love. And this one, you can definitely see the glitter in it. I took a super, super tiny brush like this and wet it. And then I just dotted that into the eyelashes. The reason I did that is when I wear orangey, red, pink shades, I find that if I put a little bit of black or brown right in where the eyelashes are, I don't get that pink eye, red eye rabbit look. It just works a lot better. And I guess at this point I'll interrupt what I'm saying and then say that this shade right here, which is Deep Taupe, I did use a brush like this to put into the crease. So I've got Autumn Blonde, Marsala Metallic, Marsala Matte, Deep Taupe in the crease and a little bit down here. Then Bracken with a smaller brush lining my lashes, and then the last color I have on is Castor Gray, which we haven't gotten to, and I put, no, that's not the last actually, I put that lining the under eye and into the corner, and then I took one of the golds, Desert Mist, and I lined the lower third and the upper corner right there of my lash line. Okay, so we've only got 4 more colors to go. This is why some people don't have the patience for these videos. Russet right here. And Russet I found was a red-orange sort of a color. Red-orange brown. So you can see how much cooler that shade is than that one. Then we're going to get to an even warmer shade, which, and that one was a satin, kind of a satin, I don't know, kind of a satin matte. That's what I see in a lot of these. Then we got to Hot Chocolate. Weird name for this color. This is, I don't know, it's more red than any chocolate I know. And it's a little patchy just because my wrist was wet. It actually applies really quite well. I'll try to blend it out. It's almost like a, again, got almost that purplish tint to it in some ways. But it's like a reddish brown, a little bit more brown and orange than the Marsala themselves. It's a pretty color. I really love that color. It's a color that there's a Dolce & Gabbana color which is very similar to it, which I just obsess over. I think it's just a super flattering brown. That kind of, I don't know, I always think of it as kind of terracotta brown if you've got warmer skin tones. It's not quite as flattering on cooler skin tones. This is the one that to me, Castor Gray, is an exact dupe. It's not even like close, it's an exact dupe in my opinion for Peacock, and it's a really cool shade. I'm going to try to move my wrist around. It's hard for me to take swatches of this, but you can see it goes from like a brown or reddish brown to like this peacock green, which is really a pretty effect, and it wears really beautifully. And this I have lining my lower lash line. Then, oh my gosh, I'm almost done. Red Mahogany. This one is a satin matte again. I feel like a lot of these are satin mattes. I'll say it again, and this one's almost like a purplish. I almost wore this one. What did I write? I wrote deep, rich, red brown. It tends to lean almost slightly purplish as opposed to orange like the rest of some of the other browns. So anyway, that's the palette. I actually really like it. Very, very warm overall, but a shocking number of cooler tones, even some of the browns. And comes like that. I don't think I have anything left to say. So happy holidays. Please comment suggestions, thoughts. Overall, I was impressed with this palette, even though it's smaller. And please subscribe on YouTube. Thank you.